You guys, Arm&Gun here today. Gonna do a quick disassembly video of one of my favorites, the Sig MPX, chambered in 9mm. So just gonna pop this guy apart quick and show you just how to take it apart. First of all, drop your mag, check that it's safe, chamber's clear, and now it's basically like an AR-15 at this point. Your two pivot pins, just gonna pop those guys out. Not too terribly tight, at least on mine here. This front one is a bit tighter though. Once you got one down, it'll hinge open. You don't have to take the second one off if you don't want to. You could just pull a bolt and everything out, but I do like to take the front one off too, just so I can get rid of the lower and focus on the upper. Now this guy here has an aftermarket drop-in trigger in it, which is, advisory recommended before just doing it yourself. They don't recommend using the just drop-in triggers on these guys. They recommend using one that's specifically done for an MPX, based on the fact that this has the high velocity bolt, higher than a traditional AR, and it just can cause damage to your hammer, your trigger group, if you're not using one that's been pre-approved for the MPX. After that, just everything pops out like a normal AR assembly. This is your bolt carrier group and your charging handle. This is not the factory, this is a Radian Raptor. I upgraded it just because I like charging handles with a little bit more meat on the sides, just so I can really grab them really easily. So I'll give that a quick wipe off. And that's basically it. At this point, you're taking apart things that are a little bit more minute. Start off with your firing pin, retaining pin here. It's that, and your firing pin comes out and your firing pin spring. Now your cam pin can come out, and I've heard that this is the main challenging part with this system, is you're getting this at an angle where you can get the cam pin actually out. Come on now. Is a bit of a challenge. Just gotta bear it, get it out. Actually, you can make this easier on yourself. You can also pop this off if you've got a Gen 1 or 2. The Gen 3s are different. I think this is locked in with a little roll pin. You can't get it out. To put the Raptor Radian handle on it anyways, you have to swap out this piece. The factory is plastic. It doesn't have this little groove on it that the Radian needs, so you do have to swap that out. But should be able, there we go. Okay, so just a little bit of finagling with the guide rod system here to get the cotter pin, or sorry, your cam pin out, and then you're done. And there comes your bolt. Again, rotating bolt in a pistol caliber carbine or SMG is pretty cool. That's pretty revolutionary. So your carrier. So just clean this out, the guide rods. Again, you don't need to pull everything out. You can, but really you can just wipe them down and that's good. So that's that. Now, the challenging part with this thing is cleaning out the inside of the upper, because look at this shape. This is quite the weird, wonky shape. It is open from the front, so you could get, if you drop this in the mud or something, you could get stuff up there, which I know is a complaint about this and the MCX or the Rattler as well. But honestly, I don't know. I think most of us that are watching for this kind of stuff are just using these things recreationally, and we're not going to be doing too crazy stuff like that. But mainly it's just the shape of the upper. Like, these are some wonky grooves to get in, and it is tricky to get in there to really clean it out if you want your rifles looking immaculate. If you're not super concerned, then maybe it's not the end of the world, but anyways, I digress. I'll pop off this blast shield, just a Griffin Armaments blast shield that fits on an A2 style muzzle device. Take that off, and then with the front pin removed, you can literally just pop this up. It's under a bit of just tension just from the parts fitting together. The handguard just pops right off, and there's two cross bolts in here, which are a Torx head. I can confirm which size of Torx they are. That's too big. I guess it's you then. Okay, it's a Torx 25. See in there. That'll undo these. And once those are out, You literally just pop the barrel out. You can clean the barrel on its own. Sorry, the barrel, there's also a, because this is like a piston tappet system. It's kind of neat. It's, again, and also a pretty revolutionary thing for this. This isn't a blowback operated. It is operated with a piston of sorts that contacts right there. And it's, you know, I am pretty blown away by the ingenuity that Sig went into this platform. And it's a very reliable platform. And that helps it run more cleanly too, the fact that it's piston and not just direct blowback. You're not getting all that crud just shot right back into your action to literally cycle it. So that's pretty cool. I know you can pull this out. I'll leave that for maybe another video that's a bit more involved. If I get a caliber conversion kit or if I get a smaller barrel system for this one, I'll show the barrel change process. But I'll show how to pull that tappet apart and clean it as well. But basically for your field strip, this is pretty involved as it is. So I'll just put everything back together really quickly and we'll call it a video. So start by taking the handguard, sliding the handguard back on. It just goes in these little groove rails here. Slide it all the way on so it's nice and firm. Set that aside. Take your carrier. While it's apart here, I guess I may as well clean it a little bit. Okay. So your cam pin only goes in the one side, which is somewhat helpful. Get that lined up. And it should be a lot easier getting in than getting out. I think it should be, as long as you have this lined up properly. There could be easier ways of doing this as well. I don't know that there we go. Okay, just start making excuses and then it works. So that'll go in there. Toss your firing pin and firing pin spring in. Make sure it goes all the way through, and it should, oh, I might have a problem here. There's a little dimple I just noticed on this pin, and there's a corresponding, see the dimple there? There's a corresponding dimple on the carrier. So from the cam pin and the carrier, I'm assuming line those pins up. I didn't notice that before, but I'll line those up and then I'll toss this in. And depress your firing pin a bit to make sure that it's clear of the cotter pin hole here. Just get your cotter pin started and then depress it. Then pop it through, and that makes sure your firing pin is retained. It doesn't come out the back. I think this is good. Now we'll just put our charging handle in first. That dropped in there. Make sure your bolt's all the way ahead. Line it up with the grooves. That all just slides in, except for it has to, there we go. This one again, because the latching system with the radian has to be over top of the little knuckle there at the end of it. Just, sometimes a little finagling is required. That's it, guys. That's your upper. Here's your lower. Just toss your pins back in. And you've got a gun again. Super slick action on these things. I'm really impressed with how slick the MPX action is. And again, I've got a bigger video on this guy anyways. So you go give that a check that out. And that's going to be it for now, guys. Thank you so much. See you next time.